Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Enlightenment Through Meditation Self Awareness Session. As always, I would like to thank all of you who have taken the time to sit down, calm your minds, and be able to receive the message that will be given to us. At the same time, all those feet that take the time to come to our facility, very thankful to them. There have been always so many questions in our minds when we travel on the path of self awareness. And one of the things that we try so many things to find in life, it kind of leads us to find either within us or outside us, is to find happiness. We all want to be happy, and whatever it takes to be happy, we want to follow. We go, we check, evaluate, test, see, try, and see if that works for us and can we get happiness. But what happens is, in this phase of life, we try it for a very short time. We go listen to someone and then we try to do it, something out of all our activities. We accommodate, try to test it, and look for something will happen in our lives. That's how mind is. So we think something should change our life, something should happen, and that's how we should become happy. But we forget that happiness is within us. No one can give us happiness. If it was that happy, this happiness was so easy, it would have been on the shelves in the stores and we could have gone, paid the money, bought the happiness and got it. But that's not how it works. The way it works is we need to find our own happiness. So this session, I thought it would be good for us to go deeper into it and maybe start from a little bit more basics, and we look into who feels happy really, when one feels happy, how one feels happy, and then what is the difference between who is feeling happy versus if this body that is the manifestation of the one who is feeling happy, is it due to the body or is it due to the feeling that we feel about the happiness? Although it may sound a little deeper, but I think we will try to keep it as simple as possible. So when it comes to who feels happy, we always like to see that happiness, we always say, I feel happy. We don't say my nose is feeling happy, my ears are feeling happy. We say, I feel happy. And when we have trouble or sickness or some problem, we go and we say, my hand is hurting, my ear is hurting, my hair is hurting, or something like that. So even knowing or not knowing, we know that it is us because our hand is hurting, therefore we may not feel happy. So that means we who possess this hand and hand not feeling so good, we are also not feeling happy. But even in day-to-day talks, we talk like that. I feel down, I feel up, I feel this, I feel that. And whenever there is a problem with our body organ, or something broke in the house, or the sofa got messed up, or the car had an accident, we directly relate to that incident and that accident directly to the body. So body is not capable of feeling or not feeling happy, although body is a reflection of whatever it feels. If it's hurting, it tells us I'm hurting, and as a result we may not feel happy. If it is excited, we put the colors on the nails and they look pretty, we get happy. And sometimes we think that that is the happiness. And I think last time we talked about that. Happiness is a state, and as it stays constantly for a long period of time, we call it happiness. When we get excited about something, we only taste happiness for that occasion. And when that occasion is finished, or we get back to normal, then that particular happiness goes away. That may not be the ultimate happiness. That may be a reflection of something that we got, acquired, and as a result we felt happy. But that state of happiness would not be unchangeable permanence. Maybe within minutes, maybe within hours, within days, very transitory. Same thing happens with when we are not feeling so good. That's also transitory, and we all know that. Sometimes up, sometimes down. We have even named it Wheel of Life, up and down, because we have not quite realized happiness that's always stable, because that is a state, and that state comes by following certain guidelines, certain principles that are within us but we have not quite explored. And if we look at some of the previous sessions we did, we went over what is virtuous actions. Kindness is a virtuous action. Giving is a virtuous action. Satisfaction is a virtuous action. Love is a virtuous action. On the contrary, if we are jealous, that's not so cool. That's negative. It makes us negative. It spreads negative vibration. Or we are very proudy, very egotistical, snobbish. That doesn't make other people happy. So the surrounding doesn't become higher vibrations. It brings the vibration down. So plus and minus goes together, as we know. So when the happiness doesn't stay the same at the same level for a long time, although we taste it, but it becomes transitory. So who feels happy? That means we at the level of heart, we feel happy. Whenever mind feels happy, that only feels because it feels that it's getting some selfish motives fulfilled. Generally, when we go somewhere, we want to get what we want to get. If we don't get, we don't feel happy. But if we do, we are extraordinarily happy, although we may know that tomorrow we may lose it, but at least we have it now. So mind, the twister, twists everything very quickly and makes us go through this transformation over and over, up and down, and never lets us be happy. So the permanent state of happiness can only be felt at the level of heart, where you give away all the expectations and you are in acceptance, because then nobody can change anything. You're already giving. You've decided, I don't want anything. When you don't want anything, what can somebody give you? You don't want it. A market with millions of things is for a shopper. If shopper decides I don't need anything, there is no market. There is no need for all those things. So something like that, when there is a heart and it's dominating with love, love knows to give only. It's not receiving anything. And if it isn't receiving, it's in its own place of permanent enjoyment. When one feels happy, and as I mentioned, when do we feel happy? We feel happy when our desires of the mind do get fulfilled. Just now I explaining that, and we want. Very quickly we know what we like, what we don't like. We all have a mind, I am sure. So if we go back and look into ourselves, we may find value in whatever being discussed right now. Very moment by moment, we sit in the company of friends, still try to see who is my better friend and why. Why should be I friends with this person and not this person? If I don't like this person, why this person is sitting where I am sitting? I am so great. Things like those, because mind is guided that way. So it will not change its attitude. The transition from mind to the heart to get to that happiness has to happen. Now, does it happen now? Does it happen later on? Does it happen in the next time or whatever we call? And those discussions also we went through when we discussed law of action and reaction, because all this was discussed, that when do we get the result? When you do an action, there is going to be a reaction. So if you are giving somebody a lot of love, universal love, that has to come back. And we went over all these details. Why should we feel, how should we feel, and how does this all law of action and reaction works. So when one feels happy at the level of mind, whenever we acquire something of what our needs are or what our wants are, we get happy. But the level of heart, it is always unchangeable permanence, because it is within us and beyond mind. We have to transcend above mind, where it keeps on fluctuating up and down. Then we enter into the happiness which does not change. When one feels happy, how one feels happy, how do we feel happy? When we get some things of our liking that we want to get, then we express it in so many ways. We invite friends, we have a party, we share each other, but sometimes even going through so much commotion we create, when everybody leaves, sometimes we go right back into us and find sometimes very empty. Because as long as there was a crowd, as long as our mind was busy, happy and laughing, joking around, we didn't realize that it was not momentary. We thought it is going to last for a long time. But as soon as everybody left, we found that we are back into our own shell, and suddenly mind started telling us, oh my god, you remember you had this problem, remember you have that problem. And as soon as those things start to come back to us, we started to realize, after all, we are not so happy, because this was only a temporary thing. We felt that we are feeling good, but that feeling would never meant that we were happy. So is it kind of an acquired happiness? Yes, we made an effort, we got to feel, and even sometimes in that happiness, a friend says something to us, and all our enjoyment goes down to drain in fraction of a second, because it didn't, we, our minds didn't like it, our ego was hurt, and it penetrated to us, and then we are thinking, when this meeting will finish, I have nothing to do with it. That person said this to me and this to me. And who is fighting? The ego within the mind is fighting. So we don't like that. We say so many things. We don't like so many friends. And then we might want to go for shopping. And we like something. We want to buy that. Unfortunately, we don't have either the means or something like that. We are unable to get. Shop didn't have it for us. Our happiness is very quickly goes down. We lose it too quickly. Does it mean that is the true happiness? No, that is not the true happiness. How do we feel that happiness? By buying that momentarily only. So basically in this, we are trying to differentiate who feels happy. The mind, the heart, or its manifestation in the body. Whenever we make our body look very pretty, we feel happy. But the realization comes when we go back and, for example, take whatever we had done to look pretty. It doesn't matter, men, women, children, whoever that is. We put on a garb in a way to look in the society very acceptable. So once we look good at that moment, we feel really good. But when we come back and take that garb off, because we want to be within ourselves in our own comfort completely, that gives us happiness. If somebody tells anyone that you need to be in a certain way, maybe going through a makeup artist and to be presented all the time, all the time, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we cannot make it because we'll get tired. We are not our own, and we need to be on our own, because whatever we are at that moment, we do feel good. So when we come back after anywhere in our place, in our convenience, in our comfort, and sit down, in a way we feel a lot better, because we are within our own personal space and we like that. But at the same time, we do miss the commotion, and then we feel lonely. So what happens? Mixed feelings. Sometimes happy, sometimes not happy, and that turbulence becomes so much that at times we get into depressions, and at times we get into anxiety, we get panic attacks, we get fears, we don't know what to do, because we haven't tasted the true happiness. True happiness starts to come when we transcend, when we move up mind. All these phases, all these things that are coming, when we start to get more into acceptance that this fluctuation, all this that is happening, it becomes a permanent state of mind and a permanent state of heart, then we start feeling, yeah, now we are stable at the level of heart. That starts to stabilize the mind. As the mind is stabilized, our bodily actions reflect that, because always there is a thought process first. When there is the thought process, then the actions happen. So how we express our happiness, the person who is at the permanent happiness, the expressions are very fulfilling, because we can notice that the aura is peaceful, because those radiations, those vibrations are coming from the body. At the same time, when we are very turbulent, our turbulent actions are coming out of the body, and that will not make us feel happy. So who feels happy? It's us, within us, that charge within us that gives us life, the vital force or the conscious energy, that is reflection of happiness, because that recognizes. Mind translates and body really translates into action. So if we go the difference between I and me, we will say who feels happiness. When we say I, that means we are talking within ourselves. When we talk about the body, then we always say, hey, I wore this and I feel good, because that's a reflection of the body within us. Or I bought a new car, that's why I am happy. But that doesn't mean that is the permanent state of being happiness. We will be talking more about these subjects. I have been writing a lot about happiness, and those blogs will be coming also on Facebook, so we can read them over and over again. These are such topics that when we talk, when we listen to them, at that time they make sense to us, they penetrate to us. But our minds and hearts are so filled with so many things that the words of truth, although come, they don't stay. They go right back out very quickly, too quickly, and then we feel we are at the same state. And then we start feeling, what is the purpose of me going? I'm not learning, I'm not getting. But this is not a matter of learning by ears only or looking by eyes only. It is a matter of practicing that truth in every way, shape, and form in everyday life. Because when we practice truth, we start practicing at the level of mind. And we find there is turbulent. Because mind is selfish. It says you need to do this. But when we start practicing the truth, then the heart comes over and says, no, but that's not right. Now, depending on our self-awareness, this voice can be very small or very loud. If it is small, we may not even hear it. But as our awareness goes higher and higher, we differentiate between me and I and how I need to grow within my own virtuous treasures. We start following the path of truth. And that's when our true self-awareness starts. And as it starts, the happiness starts to go up, although the material things might need to go down. Maybe you will be start to lose your ego. You can start losing your vanity. You can start losing your greed. But that's what is needed to acquire the true happiness. So thank you so much for joining, because always remember, happiness is not too far. We do these sessions every Saturday at 6 to 6:30 or 6 to 6:20, just making sure that the subject matter doesn't become too heavy on our minds and we are able to digest them. Please make sure you write your suggestion, comments, or anything you would like for us to know on our Facebook page, that is facebook.com/Dr. Kors, or on our website drkors.com, or on YouTube, which is youtube.com/Dr. Kors, or during even the session you can send us the comment. I was clicking on it and I saw there is a right side, there is a corner. You can click, and if you do, you can write your comments at that time, and we'll try if we can accommodate answering those in the same session or later on. So once again, thank you so much for joining, and I'm sure I will see you again next Saturday. Just remember, I love you all, and thank you so much.